My name is Larissa Taranas, and I'm here to affirm the resolution that the USFG should ban animals in captivity. My definitions: ban, to get rid of. Animals, we are speaking of those that are not used for medical research, and non-domestic animals such as cats, dogs, etc. Captivity, zoos or an establishment that houses wild animals to display to the public. My judging criteria. Judge, if my partner and I are able to show why the USFG should ban animals in captivity, then we should win this debate. Our background. So the first zoo was opened in the United States in 1874 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 1938, the first oceanarium, or large marine aquarium, opened at the American Museum in New York City. Just based on those few facts, we're able to observe that for almost 100 years, animals have lived in captivity for public display and entertainment. However, because animals have lived in captivity for so long, this has caused poor treatment of the animals, inbreeding, and has led to animal violence in captivity. Harm 1, inbreeding. On the National Center for Biotechnology Information Center, we find that inbreeding can cause more harm than good. According to an Introduction to Genetic Analysis, 7th edition, written by Griffiths A.J.F., Miller J.H., and Suzuki D.T., they state that inbreeding amongst a population can have deleterious consequences. They explain that if one member of the population is to have an allele A, which causes a homozygous metabolic disorder, and they are inbred within that same population, now allele A, which was a homozygous disorder, now becomes heterozygous for the disease. Now what this can do for animals with the disorder, wait, hold on guys, I'm sorry. Now what this can do for animals in captivity is because of the inbreeding, allele A, which was once a homozygous disease, has now become a heterozygous disease, which can affect all of the animals and eventually lead to death. Inbreeding has been found to be more common in captivity than the wild. According to the One Green Planet organization, the captive breeding programs that are put in place have very little, if not no, success because these animals do not have the primal instinct to survive and to fight for territory as it is given to them in zoos. Harm 2, lifespan. And according to the National Geographic, it states that animals have a shorter lifespan in captivity than they do in the wild. The female Minama timber elephants only live 19 years in captivity, where out in the wild they can live up to 42 years. So can we really say that housing these animals in captivity is better for them? Because these animals have a shorter lifespan, they do not get to function as normally as an animal who gets to live its whole life out in the wild. Harm 3, violence to animals in captivity. According to the LCA organization, wild animals are forced to live in artificial, stressful, and downright boring conditions. These animals are removed from their natural habitats and social structures to which they are confined to small, restrictive environments that deprive them of mental and physical stimulation. Zoos profess to practice conservation. In other words, they preserve various species, claiming that without their efforts, certain species would now become extinct. However, if they were truly concerned with the preservation of a species, they would instead work to preserve animals' natural habitats. For it is in fact humans, we are eroding the natural habitat of numerous species through pollution, rangeland degradation, topsoil erosion, crop and groundwater contamination, and other harmful processes. Our inherency. What is stopping us from solving these harms is that not many people realize that these animals in captivity are not living a suitable life as they could in the wild. There have been opinions stated that, without zoos, how will my child be able to retain a once-in-a-lifetime memory of seeing this animal at the zoo? But is that what we want our kids to see? Animals being poorly mistreated by the zookeepers and animals that should be in cold temperatures that are now residing in California and should rather be in the Arctic? I don't think so. So why don't we show our children how to stand up for animals who do not have a say on whether or not they are moved or placed in a cage? Our plan. What my partner and I believe should be done is that instead of pulling animals from their natural habitat, we believe that the focus should be on a more efficient solution, such as preserving their natural habitat, which would help these animals thrive. These can be places such as animal sanctuaries. According to the LCA, animal sanctuaries are nonprofit rescue centers that provide shelter for abused, unwanted, neglected, and orphaned animals. They advocate spaying and neutering and attempt to find suitable homes for animals. Also, many attempt to teach others about compassionate living and most care for animals until they later die of old age. While zoos, on the other hand, will sometimes sell aging animals. to where they will exchange them for a younger version. Some of these animals that are traded are abused or neglected and are kept in the prison-like confinement of their cage. Unlike animal sanctuaries, the zoo's focus is not what's best for the animals, but rather for the people that are viewing. Our solvency. How our plan solves for the harm is that there will be less inbreeding, these animals will have a longer lifespan, and there will be less violence to these animals who have been held in captivity. With animal sanctuaries, we can stop these harms and help these animals from being taken advantage of. Two of the advantages that we have on the AF is if we follow through with this plan, we will see a much more flourished wildlife if we were to go out to the jungles or to other areas. We also have, with the production of animal sanctuaries, we will be creating more jobs for people to help protect these animals and their environment. In conclusion, therefore, if we follow through with our plan, we will see that we can still help these animals from going extinct by forming animal sanctuaries and help stop people from degrading their natural habitat, and that there's no need for zoos. My name is Larissa, and I'm here to defend the resolution of USFG and animals in captivity.
Alright, cross-ex.
That's the first time I went my whole time.
Go.
You mentioned animal cruelty, and where are the sources on that?
They are from right here, the LCA organization. It's sorry, I have too many sources up here. Last Chance for Animals organization.
And when was that done?
This one in particular would have been done in, I want to say it was 2016.
Okay, and then you mentioned that inbreeding is not an option, but then what other solutions would you have if for animals that are going extinct? So what other ways would you have?
Well, that's what the
breed life?
animal sanctuaries would be for. If the animals were going extinct, we'd be able to use their natural habitat to help them evolve.
Can you define a sanctuary?
Animal sanctuary, it's a place to where animals are secure and where us as humans, we just help keep poachers out of the area.
Secured as in they have fences, gates on them?
No.
Then no gates whatsoever on sanctuaries?
No.
Okay. And
Alright. Nice. 6 minutes. Ready?
Hi, I'm Dylan, and I'm here to negate the resolution of USFG should ban animal captivity. And so, the definition. I don't agree with the apps. It's actually really bad. So I like to give my own definition, where the definition of captivity is actually animals that live under human care are in captivity. So that means domestic and researched animals. You can't exclude that because that's the definition of captivity. And captivity can be used as a generalizing term to describe the keeping of either domestic animals or wild animals. This may include, for example, farms, private homes, zoos, laboratories, keeping animals human captivity and under human care. And because this must be distinguished between the three primary categories according to their particular motives, objectives, and conditions. I agree with their judging criteria, but I also don't agree with their background, which is bad also. So the domestication of animals is the oldest documented instance of keeping animals in captivity. The process eventually resulted in habitation of wild animal species to survive in the company of or by the labor of human beings. Domesticated species are those whose behavior, life cycle, or physiology has been altered as a result of their breeding and living conditions under human control for multiple generations. Probably the earliest known domestic animal was the dog, likely as early as 15,000 BC, among hunter-gatherers in several locations, according to Wikipedia.org. So the AF's first harm in interbreeding. The interbreeding does mess with animals' genes, but that is good, because according to Messy Beast, Sarah Hartwell, there is a lot of benefits in interbreeding in animals. It produces uniform or predictable offspring. Hidden recessive genes show up and can be eliminated, and also individuals will breed true and are pure. It doubles up good genes and eliminates unwanted traits. And also, if animals are going extinct, like my partner said, it will help the species go on. So interbreeding is a good thing. My AF's harm number 2, lifespan. So yes, elephants do live shorter in zoos, but that's just one species she labeled. And captivity is good for their health because with more research, they can live even longer than they do in the wild. According to National Academics of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, vaccines, antibiotics, anesthetic surgical procedures, and other approaches developed in animals for human use are now commonly employed throughout veterinary medicine. Pets, livestock, and animals in zoos live longer, more comfortable, and healthier lives as a result of animal research. So keeping animals captive is better overall for their lives. Harm number 3, violence to animals in captivity. Yes, this was a problem actually, but it's already been solved. According to OccupyTheory.org, February 7th, 2015, animals have been subjected to cruel treatment in the past when they were in zoos. This has changed, however, because people actually knew about it and noticed it, and it damaged the reputation of zoos itself and threatens their business. They realized this, and their treatment towards animals has been continuously improving over time. In fact, animals are starting to get treatment of kings when they're in zoos, all because they are the livelihood of the business. Moreover, the few zoos mistreated animals have been caught and have been targeted to these actions. So this harm is no longer happening. So the app has no inherency because these harms, and that said, don't exist. And AP's plan goes against the resolution because app talks about animal sanctuaries. That's holding them captive because, as I said earlier, captivity is under human care. So they're taking care of them, which is they're captive. So this goes against the topic of banning all animal captivity. And so since there is no plan, there is no solvency. Disadvantage 1, all animals released from captivity won't give us research we need to keep them alive. According to International Comparative Physiology, Hauser-Durian states, the results of research conducted by the MMP has not only benefited the care of marine mammals in captivity, but it has indirectly improved our understanding of behavior, physiology, and ecology of animals in the wild. Research conducted with MMP marine mammal population has produced demonstrable improvements in veterinary care. So animal captivity is good because the research allows us to come up with ways on how to improve for veterinary care. The more we understand them, the more animals will survive. So animal captivity is help keep animals alive due to research. Disadvantage 2, animals will die if all released into the wild. According to the University of Zurich, Professor Markus Klaus states, the research team led by University of Lyon and the University of Zurich assessed the demographic parameters of more than 50 mammalian species. The scientists discovered the longevity was higher at the zoo for more than 80% of the animals studied. Species such as African buffaloes, reindeer, zebras, beavers, and lions, all 50 carnivore species in our data set attained greater longevity at the zoo. So this proves why animals live longer, and if they were released from captivity, animals will be at the risk of dying. So disadvantage number 3, all animals released from captivity will result in job loss. According to Statistic Brain, April 1st, 2017, states there is 350 zoos, 6,126 species in the zoos, 142,000 jobs in the zoos in America today. If we release all animals from captivity, then 142,000 people will be without jobs. There is 321 million people in the U.S. That means 0.044% of people will be jobless. Therefore, abandoning animal captivity is a very bad idea. So overall, I refuted the app's the harms, and I went through my 3 disadvantages. Went through my 3 disadvantages, proving why it's a bad idea to ban animal captivity. And so once again, I renege the resolution. USFG should ban animal captivity.
Cross-check.
I'm saying
Cross-check. Cross-check.
Oh.
Ready?
Yeah. Okay, so you say that it's not only domestic animals, correct? For that to be banned, right? You want it to be like domestic, wild, like all animals should be included?
Let's say it one more time.
Like all animals should be included in the ban, not just with the wild animals? Because you repeated my definition.
One more time.
Oh my god. Okay, forget it.
Okay.
Are you aware that it's mainly primates and rats that are tested on for scientific research?
And this is false.
Okay. Can I see the evidence? Do you have evidence? Prove me wrong.
That are tested on?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually have the research from Navy Marine Mammals Benefit Animal Care. Read that if you want.
Yeah, I would love to. And you said you had a source from Wikipedia?
I do.
Are you aware that's not a credible source?
It's just it's kind of common sense for definitions.
Can I see? Yeah, I just wanna see it.
Mhm.
You got from dictionary.com. If you want a credible source.
You want to hold on this?
I do, I want that too. And then, I wrote my other question. Oh, yes, and then you mentioned messy bees, correct?
I did.
Are you aware that it's only for cat-related resources?
Next question.
Okay, and you mentioned Sarah Hartwell. Do you know who she is?
No, I don't know.
Are you aware she's a software engineer and has no background in animals?
Actually, she does.
I have her biography right here.
Okay.
No more further questions.
All right, then. 2AC. 2AC.
We're best friends still.
Ready?
Yep. Hi, my name is Brandon Brown, and I'm here to affirm the resolution that the USFG should ban animals in captivity. To add more to our harm one of interbreeding, a study by conservation geneticist Dr. Paul Donahue at the Apenal Foundation found that the pedigrees of many zoo animals have become contaminated by hybridization with different but related species. The study examined the DNA of 9 founder animals, which all 110 captive cats are descendants from, and found that they were all closely related. It means the animals alive now are all related, mostly sharing more DNA than if they were cousins, Donahue told the Sunday Times. When such close relatives mate, their offsprings become inbred, meaning they face stillbirths, genetic diseases, and shorter lives. This was found from a source by the Bee Times business. Bee Times actually stands for International Business Times. For our harm two, to add more to that, our lifespan, in April 2016, following decades of mounting pressure, SeaWorld, stationed in Florida, announced that it would stop breeding orcas to live and perform at its parks. Now, they mentioned that we just mentioned, for the lifespan, we just mentioned elephants, but here, this is an example of another animal that could be harmed by, living in a captive area. Now, these parks confine orcas to concrete tanks and force them to perform meaningless tricks for food, PETA states. They are denied everything that is natural and important to them, and many do not make it half their natural lifespan because of the stress and loneliness caused by their living conditions. We heard the concerns about animals like orcas under human care. Society has changed, and we've changed with it, a spokesman told Mail Online. This article came from dailymail.com, an article called Like the Idea of Swimming with Dolphins and Cuddling with Tigers. Campaigners reveal the dark side of the animal tourism industry. Here's some background on circuses and how long they've been around. The origin of modern circuses have been attributed to Philip Astley, a cavalry officer from England who set up the first modern amphitheater for display of horse riding tricks in London in April 1768. Now, violence to animals in captivity for our harm three. After 146 years, the Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus will end in this May in 2017. Now, even after all the fun and excitement people have had over the years watching this show, people are now realizing the true feeling of the animal and what it takes to get an animal to perform like that. Now, you think of what it takes to train a dog or a domestic pet, and now just imagine getting a whole circus to do what you want. Now, all the other animal circuses, roadside zoos, wildlife exhibitors, including marine amusement parks, SeaWorld, and the Miami Sea Aquarium, must take note. Society has changed eyes. Eyes have been opened. People now know these animals and the wrong they are doing by capturing them and exploiting them. Most people didn't realize what went on behind the scenes, said Jan Kramer, the president of Animal Defenders International, which has conducted undercover investigations into circuses for 20 years. An extra argument, the aftermath of the tragic tiger attack at the San Francisco Zoo that killed 1 and severely wounded 2 more has left us with many questions. How did the tiger escape? Its confinement, was it provoked? How could this happen? Wild animals are capable at any time of aggressive, even fatal attacks. These animals are bored, they're smart, they're agile, and they are working 24/7 to get out of their prison. This was said by Mark Bekoff, a former professor of ecology and evolutionary biology at the University of Colorado. Our plan is, once again, to utilize animal sanctuaries for years to come. A little more about animal sanctuaries. They are true wildlife sanctuaries. They do not breed or exploit commercial activities, including, but not limiting to, use of animals for entertainment or sports, sale or trade of animals, their offspring, or animal parts and byproducts. A true sanctuary respects the integrity of the individual animals, providing safe, healthy, and secure refuge in enclosures specifically designed for the unique animal which it supports. To conclude, to sum up, if our plan of animal sanctuaries was utilized in the future, animals would live a much healthier and happier life. My name is Brandon Brown, and once again, I'm here to affirm the resolution that the USFG should ban animals in captivity.
Class 6.
Brandon,
Yep,
so can you elaborate about the orcas again?
the orcas, yeah, one moment. Okay, yeah, what do you want me to elaborate on?
So how are they mistreated? Or you said something about
Yeah,
tricks
okay,
and kicks? Or?
Okay, in Florida, they have a SeaWorld as well. Now, they announced that they would stop performing at the parks and breeding because they are denied everything that is natural and important to them, and many do not make it half their lifespan because of the stress and loneliness.
So are you aware that that problem's already done? It ended already, the orca problem?
Yes, I'm just using that as an example.
Okay. So what was that source you provided called Cuddling with Tigers?
That was the title, that was not the source.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For the orcas?
Yes, that was
Okay.
that was by PETA.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah, that was just the title. I just.
So you're talking about horse riding tricks. Where is that? The location of that? Like where you kind of read kind of quick. So what was the horse riding tricks you were talking about? It was right after the orca thing.
Yeah, I'm talking about circuses. And
But where is this located?
This is this was located in Florida, and it's a circus that's been going on for 146
No, I
years.
heard you say something about like London or something.
Oh yeah, I was talking about the history of circuses, just so you would know.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Alright, cool. So what's the sanctuary again? I know we've asked you this already.
You want me to go over it again? Okay. They, respect the integrity of the animals. They are in an enclosed.
So are the animals being taken care of by animals or by humans?
By humans, but
So isn't the definition of captivity under the human care?
I would say.
Those are the questions.
Okay, thank you.
2NC.
I don't have to answer. I want to.
So it's a bad idea.
So Armando.
Yes, I'm here. Oh, sorry. Here with the 2NC, we're here to, I guess, at least they mentioned the PETA source, where PETA is a very biased source that shouldn't really be used in this bit. And at least all of us in one point in our lives have paid a visit at the zoo. We know by going there, we will find many exotic animals that we can't really see on a daily basis. Because many of us, obviously, be realistic. How many of us can actually like pop a plane ticket to go see another animal worldwide? But realistically, but think about it. Do you really think zoos are just there just cause? No, many animals in the zoo are there because their species are endangered due to poaching in the wild or loss of habitat or even an expansion of man. My partner here, like I said, we're here to negate the resolution that USFG should ban animals in captivity. So, furthermore, let's talk about how they want to do with inbreeding. As my partner mentioned, inbreeding is good. Today, there are many animals that are endangered and are losing their homes and are getting hunted down. When you're witnessing a disaster like the current extinction crisis unfold, doing something feels better than doing nothing. That's one reason captive breeding programs are so common. It's difficult to stand by and watch a species careen toward oblivion. But a new study shows that interveners are just often lack scientific support and in some cases and much more harm than good. Inbreeding does not work and inbreeding, and many critics judge on how many animals come on with the deformation, but the breeding programs prove otherwise, and they work in the past. For example, they say like back in 1986, only 18-footed ferrets remained in the world. Since then, over time has gone by. A successful captive breeding program has brought them the number of the Northern Americans only native ferret to 500 in the wild. As you can see, obviously it's not going to be a quick process throughout the years. It will take time for many animals, and obviously inbreeding is one of the only sources that we can use to help breed the population. Because really, how else can you do it? And then it was with 300 more breeding in the zoos and other sanctuaries, the Arabian oryx went extinct in the wild in 1972, but captive breeding has brought this gorgeous horned ungulate back into the population of approximately 1,000 in the deserts of the Middle East. As you can see, these breeding programs work, and yes, and they might be inbred, but over time, these programs are bringing back animals that are in the verge of extinction. Now going back to lifespan, life in the wild is not exactly paradise. Animals deal with wild stresses such as competition, social challenges, and its habitat's carrying capacity. According to the American Veterinarian, on November 16, 2016, a study recently published a scientific reports confirmed that mammals generally have a longer life expectancy in zoos than the wild. They mentioned elephants, but realistically, elephants is just one out of the many species that are out there. More than 80% of mammal species analyzed and are all carnivores live longer in captivity than in the wild. The effect was most pronounced in smaller animals with short lifespans and highly mortality rates in the wild. Living in zoos has less effects on longevity and mortality rates in species with naturally longer lifespan and lower mortality rates. The investigators constructed live tables for 49 million species using data from the Species 360 database of the captive animals from the International Species Information System, and from published studies of free-ranging of animal population. They analyzed the survival metrics, longevity, baseline yearly mortality, age of one census, and rate of they define longevity as the age of 90% of members in the original cohort of died. So now, according to PBS, on March 22nd, 2017, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums required the comprehensive 8-month accreditation process for the members of zoological facilities considered the gold standard of zoo safety and welfare. So it's not like there's no real animal cruelty out there. They're all being monitored by this association so they can ensure their safety. The association includes 215 accredited zoos, aquariums, nature, and science centers that cares for combined of 750,000 animals, 100,000 animals, and spend 160 million on conservation annually. The AZA accredited zoos undergo for drills every year to maintain the safety protocols and must report any incidents of injuries to the Accreditation Commission. According to the poaching fact, in many parts of the world there is poaching and it is increasing. With this harm rising, zoos and other programs are trying to help bring back the endangered population with the programs. For example, let's look at Kenya. The most recent database from Kenya Wildlife Services reported the loss of 59 rhino and 302 elephants due to poaching in 2013. So like again, they mentioned elephants and they said they live longer, but with poaching continuing to rise, realistically, don't you think they'll survive longer in habitats where they would not be poached? That's just one example of the many areas where poaching is happening. With captive animals, we are able to help slowly bring back the population. Yes.
There we go. Cross next.
So now you said inbreeding is good.
Yeah.
Where did you get that source?
That was the psmng.com for breeding endangered species.
Is that the cat one? The cat source?
Not the cow.
No.
Okay. No, because I already mentioned genetic diseases and birth defects that it can cause,
Mm.
and you failed to mention it.
It's not a question.
Anyway, also, you mentioned elephants as
Yeah.
being just one animal. Do you have any evidence? Where did you get that evidence?
Look, I'm talking about specifically what you were saying, you were specifically mentioning one animal.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's one out of the many animals that are endangered, which are that live longer in captivity.
Okay, because I mentioned other animals, but that's okay.
Not a question.
No further questions. Thank you.
3 minute, 1 NR.
So yeah, I'm Dylan. I'm here to negate the resolution again. USFG should, ban animal captivity. So just starting off, 2AC dropped all my arguments. Going back to the research, on the marine mammals and how it benefits them to live longer, he didn't even address that at all. He kind of just swooped over it. And then other ones was where how he just 2NC mentioned about one animal, the elephant, and he's like, well, can you name any species? Well, I addressed that in my my second disadvantage about the 50 species that benefited living longer in captivity, such as reindeer, buffalo, what else? The list goes on. I can give you the source. And also, he even addressed the jobs. Like, let's just release all the animals in captivity, and then everybody will be jobless. So that's not good. And going back to the sanctuary thing, you still it totally it totally dismantles the plan they have. Like, get rid of animal captivity. Let's bring them to the sanctuary. So let's bring them from captivity to bring them to captivity. That makes no sense. So that should be a reason why we're waiting, and that should be dropped. And I am Dylan, here to negate the resolution. The USFG should ban animal captivity.
I'll try, buddy. I'll try. I think I got this.
Okay, ready?
One moment. Okay, no, I'll wing it.
Go ahead. You can.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, I have it up here somewhere. Okay, I'll start. Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm here to defend the resolution that the USFG should ban animals in captivity. I believe my opponent mentioned that we didn't say anything with the jobs. However, I did say as an advantage in my 1AC argument that we do develop jobs with animal sanctuaries. And in his definition that he got from Wikipedia for captivity, it is actually it's broken down into 3 pieces: subjective, objective, and primary goals. So, and under that was listed a definition which included zoos, which was for captivity. So I feel that our definition for zoos still stands where it is. Some of his evidence was from 2010. It's outdated. It's about 7 years old. It was for the marine wildlife, and we had mentioned in our definition that we are not including those used for medical research. This was actually used for these dolphins were used to look for underwater like bombs, mines, I think that's what they're called. So that had nothing to do with medical research at all. One of their sources actually isn't reliable. It's Messy Bees. That's a nonprofit library of cat-related resources. So that's not credible, so I feel that evidence should be thrown out. Sarah Hartwell, she is actually a software engineer and has no background, and so I feel that she has no say with what should go on with the animals. They had also failed to mention from my partner's speech when we do the inbreeding, the failed genetics that come with it, like that they can lead to death, the rare things that the rare variation of what the animals have, it can be gone with inbreeding, it can disappear like that. And yeah, my name is Larson. I'm here to friend resolution with USFG for fan animals I'm reading it. Not feeling it today. I was sick over the weekend.
All right. Come on.
Okay, so like I said, we're here to negate the resolution. They keep mentioning how we have unbiased source, or we have uncredible source. But realistically, PETA is actually a very biased source, which only looks for that. And the other thing they mentioned was they're talking about inbreeding. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, realistically, what other options can you really have with inbreeding? Like, when the population is down, like I mentioned with the Kenya Wildlife Services, there's only 59 that were left, and then they were able to bring it back over time. So realistic, like I said, there's really no other option. I mean, eventually you're gonna have to do that, and it's not all animals have the like disorder or like deformation. And I think with like lifespan, like I said, mentioned earlier, the lifespan of animals are more safer because they're more care with the medical and other care that they have. And with realistically, sanctuaries are still gonna be under care because it's not the same as being released into the wild. So, if you're gonna throw them in sanctuaries, it's still captivity in some way. You might as well just throw in, like say you have like an elephant, you're putting in a sanctuary, you're lying, you're throwing in a sanctuary. Why don't you just throw it back to Africa and see where they go? Realistically, they wouldn't survive. So, realistically, they have no plan, no solvency, and even if they had a plan, it would not work whatsoever. So, I'm here, Amanda, and here to get that.
All right, thank you.
It's up to you. I tried.
All right.
Hi, I'm Brandon, here to affirm the resolution that the USFG should ban animals in captivity again. I believe we are winning because they failed to, they dropped my argument about circuses. I mentioned circuses, and that's something going on right now that's going to be closed in May, and they failed to mention anything that I said about that. I also would like to clarify something. They said that my source was from PETA, but I specifically said it was something PETA said on an article that I found called dailymail.com, and it was the source was from the UK. Now, PETA said something on there, but that's not where that's not where I got my source. I didn't go to PETA.com and look for it. Bless you. They, I feel they dropped, our argument 3 about, well, they mentioned it, but they failed to mention what the year that their study was, which was in 2015, mine was in 2017. I believe our source is much more credible because of the age, and also, their definition of cruelty is from Wikipedia, which is, I feel, is a invalid source. There's three different definitions here. And like my partner said, only one of the definitions mentions zoos and laboratories. The rest of them deals with holding domestic animals, which the animals we're talking about are wild animals, not domestic animals. And to sum it all up, that's why I feel we are winning this debate, and my name is Brandon Brown. I once again affirm the resolution that the USFG should ban animals in captivity. Thank you.